We all know the saying, a win is a win, and especially when you are a team that is 14 games under 500. But honestly, that game, that performance has me rethinking that saying. The Angels do just about everything wrong and somehow win to avoid a sweep in the nation's capital. We'll discuss it on today's edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast right now.
You are Locked On Angels Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Los Angeles, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, Halo Nation, hello, Halo hopefuls, and hello, Postcast people, and welcome to the latest edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast, coming at you live, as always, after every single Angels game here on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel, and after the fact, wherever you get the Locked On Angels podcast feed. If you don't know who I am, my name is Gavin Carlson. I spent 4 years as a credentialed journalist in the LA area, and I am now, of course, a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Shout out to everybody in here who sat through an absolute chaotic, crazy game, and what I am calling, and maybe I'm harsh, but I'm calling it an embarrassing win. I don't know. It's ironic because at the end of the postcast yesterday, I said, what do I want to see tomorrow? Tomorrow being Sunday, which is now today. And I said, I just want to see a win, however you can get it. I said, normally I'd want to see the young guys do well, or I'd want to see them get out of this runners in scoring position slump, or I'd want to see a promising start from a young guy. But I said yesterday, I said, I just want to see a win, however you can get it. And how ironic that I said that, and call me a hypocrite. Say I'm changing my mind. Say I am not staying true to what I said yesterday. Because the Angels did win this game. But it wasn't good enough in my opinion. I mean, did they really do anything to earn this win? And it's so ironic because in the previous two games, the Angels were the better team and lost both games. More hits in both games, certainly more runners in scoring position chances in both games, leads in both games, blown late in two games that end up going into extra innings. Two games the Angels should have won. And that's what's interesting, unique, and at times great about baseball is the better team does not always win. And we saw that the first two games where the Angels were the better team. But this performance by the Angels on Sunday is 11 times out of 12 should be a loss. Not only has the runners in scoring position error not at all been fixed, and in fact, it's almost been worsened. A 1 for 13 with runners in scoring position, 14 more runners left on base. But you get gifted with 13 walks, the third most in the history of the Washington Nationals. You score 6 runs, which it should be 12 when you get walked 13 times, and then you still almost blow that lead. When it was 6-2, I was like, okay, this is getting a little ridiculous. 6-4 and the go-ahead run on first base. Oh my goodness. Let's just be glad we didn't lose this game because it would have easily been the worst loss of the year. Easily. Real quick, before we officially jump into this one, I haven't even said a quick shout out to the sponsor of today's show. It is supplyhouse.com, the reliable way to get parts fast. Shop for your next plumbing, HVAC, or electrical job and get fast shipping from coast to coast at supplyhouse.com. On today's show, we will talk about Jack Kochanowicz because the lone bright spot that even then was kind of dampened in the bottom of the 8th, but still, before that, 7 great, impressive shutout innings from Jack Kochanowicz. We will get to that. We will talk much more in depth about the offense, the 13 walks, which were great, a couple great performances. Matt Thaiss on base just about every time. Brandon Drury, 3 walks. Mickey Moniak, 3 hits. Kevin Blar, the big 3 RBI double. We will get to that. But we have to start talking about the Angels almost blowing this game. And it's now the third time in a row, all 3 of these games in this series, where we have to start with giving up runs late in this game. And the first 2 times I said, hey, it's not really the bullpen's fault. The Angels didn't score enough runs. Ironically, this game, the Angels did score enough runs. Did they really earn any of those runs? No. So does the Angels lineup get a ton of credit? No. But if the Angels did blow this lead, this would have certainly been on the pitching staff. And it starts in the bottom of the 8th where Ron Washington gives Jack Kochanowicz an extremely long leash. And probably warranted. Coming into the 8th inning, 7 shutout innings for Kochanowicz. He's throwing very few pitches, a lot of strikes, forcing so many ground balls, double-digit ground balls. He looked a lot like a Jose Soriano or even a Tyler Anderson at times. Throw strikes, force ground balls, force weak contact. He was doing that. And so we get to the bottom of the 8th, and Kochanowicz, of course, is going to have the opportunity to pitch in the 8th inning. And he immediately gives up a leadoff homer to Jacob Young. Immediately. 1-2 pitch, and he throws a curveball high. Not a good pitch at all. He completely hangs it, and Young crushes it. Right? So it's 6-1. And we're thinking, okay, there goes the shutout. You give Kochanowicz an opportunity to still get out of the inning. Maybe he doesn't go for the complete game now that it's not a shutout opportunity. But hey, maybe at least let him finish the game. He's going for his first win. Let him finish the 8th inning. He gets a ground out. So okay, he responds. Good. He's going to finish this inning, right? No. Gives up a single. And I'm thinking, okay, certainly got to consider it. Then a wild pitch allows Nunez to get to second. And now you're thinking, okay, I respect the long leash. Me, maybe more than some of you guys. I am pro leave the starters in still, because this is not about saving arms. This is about building, confidence, experiencing moments like this. Is the first time that Jack Kochanowicz is pitching in the 8th inning in a game in the MLB. So I'm all for leaving the guy in. But now you've given up a home run, you've given up a 1-out single, then a wild pitch moves him over to second. I, at this point, was just thinking, we've already lost 2 games in this series where we've blown leads. I know we're still up 5 runs, but even I am saying pull him at this point. Let's not mess around, okay? But we mess around. He gets a ground out, so you're thinking, okay, he's going to prove me wrong. But then a 2-out single from Luis Garcia makes it 6-2. And so the decision to leave him in is proven incorrect. Not only that, but once it's 6-2, we go to Mike Baumann in the bullpen. And can I just respectful as possible, say, this guy's not good, man. He's just not good, okay? He is not good. I get it. He throws hard. Maybe there are some underlying numbers that they liked when they went and acquired him. But he's just not good. He comes up against Yepez. You're up 6-2. At least Kochanowicz understood the assignment. He's out there trying to protect a shutout and then protect a one-run game, one-run performance. So for him, maybe you pitch a little bit more carefully, even though you're up by 5 runs. But no, he's still throwing strikes. Baumann, you are not protecting an ERA. Okay, it already stinks. You are not trying to have your best start in your MLB career like Kochanowicz is having. Your job, up 6-2, is to throw some darn strikes. Make this lineup hit you. If they do, then you get a little more nitpicky throwing on the corners and stuff. But he comes up and he throws 5 pitches, 4 balls, a 5-pitch walk to Yepez, where all 4 balls are about 3 miles in the air. They were all at Yepez's face in terms of height. Ridiculous. You're not a young guy. You're a veteran. You're up 4 runs. Why in the world are you throwing ball after ball after ball? Ridiculous. So you walk Yepez. It's first and second. The tying run is on deck. Okay, that's fine. Still throw strikes. Heck, if they hit a 3-run home run here, you're still winning. No, he walks another guy. Ridiculous. And I get it. It wasn't a 5-pitch walk. It's a 7-pitch walk, but it's still ridiculous. On 2-0, he gets a lucky called strike on the outside corner that might have been ball 3. And if it's ball 3, he's probably throwing a fastball down the middle that's probably getting crushed. Okay? The count goes full, but he walks Wood. And somehow, some way, this team that doesn't even deserve to be up 6-0 is up 6-2 now, and the tying run is up. If I knew Mike Baumann was going to do this, just leave Kochanowicz in, man. Let him try to get out of it. Because Mike Baumann, we take out a starter who's having a career day for you to go in and throw strikes, and you walk the first two guys you face. Utterly ridiculous. Then against Vargas, he gives up a hard foul ball. He throws a slider for a ball. Should have been ball one. Luckily, Vargas swings. Then he, on 0-1, throws a fastball down the middle. Now is not the time to suddenly throw meatballs. The tying run is now up. Now's the time to be careful. And he throws an 0-1 fastball right down the middle. That is ripped foul. And then on 0-2, why in the world are you throwing a knuckle curve in the zone? And Vargas hit this one pretty hard. 92 exit velo. He only hit it 320 feet, but still, with Taylor Ward in left field, anything is possible. This easily could have been getting down for a double, all sorts of chaos. So Mike Baumann, I get it, you didn't give up any runs, but you might have been the worst pitcher of the game, despite being the only one who didn't give up runs, because just do your job. Your job is to throw strikes, and if they beat you, that's different. Utterly ridiculous to walk two guys. We get to the bottom of the ninth, still 6-2, because still the Angels strand everybody. Bases loaded, Zach Neto strikes out just to add to that runners in scoring position stat, just to add to the runners left on base. Utterly brutal. Ben Joyce comes in, he gets an out, but then he gives up back-to-back singles, then a walk, and then a single. I love Ben Joyce. You love Ben Joyce. We all love Ben Joyce. And I'm not even mad at the back-to-back singles. The first one, an up-and-in sinker, just a good piece of hitting. It was a weak ground ball, so not really a good piece of hitting, where Brandon Drury kind of got in the way, honestly. Then a much harder hit ball and a much worse pitch, a fastball right down the middle. But then a walk. Come on, you cannot have the walk. Very reckless. And then with the bases loaded, you give up a base hit. Luckily, it only scores one run. Once again, not a terrible pitch, but not a great pitch. Everyone knows the sinker's coming at this point. But the most inexcusable at bat, honestly, is this one. Bases loaded, 3-2, count. You've already given up a run, Ben Joyce, and you walk in another run. So now the tying run is in scoring position. The go-ahead run is on first base somehow, despite being gifted this 6-0 lead. And thank goodness Ben Joyce throws a really hard sinker and throws a pretty decent one here to force the double play to get out of the game and survive. Survive. And not even survive due to good stuff by you. You survived because the Nats simply couldn't take advantage of an embarrassing performance by our Angels. So I sound really negative. I really do. And you know I try not to be negative. You know I try to find the bright spots and losses. You know I try to be positive even when it's a close win against a bad team, or even when you only win 1 of 3 against a bad team. But this is just, it's ridiculous. It really is, that in so many ways. Hitting-wise, pitching management-wise, all of it. So be grateful that we escape. At the end of the day, it is a win for the Angels. It is avoiding a sweep. So it still ends up being a net positive. We also did see good approaches at the plate today, forcing a lot of walks, still a decent amount of hits, but the runners in scoring position, situational hitting struggles continued. And we'll talk about that after our first break here on the Locked On Angels Postcast. Now, once again, today's show is brought to you by Supply House. Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trade, supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free TradeMaster program. Every TradeMaster gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at SupplyHouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at SupplyHouse.com. Back here live on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel. This is the Locked On Angels Postcast. I'm Gavin Carlson. The Angels win, but only in spirit. They do, not only in spirit, officially as well, but 6-4. And honestly, in spirit, it was a loss. Really bad performance. 13 walks. Well, you will take that. You only score 6 runs despite being walked 13 times. You go 1 of 13 with runners in scoring position to have, they're almost 3 for 40 with runners in scoring position this series. 3 for 40 almost. Disgraceful. You leave 14 on base, and despite having a 6-0 lead, you almost throw it away due to poor situational pitching, which is not something we've seen for most of the year. Very, very disappointing. Shout out to everybody in here. I will give a quick plug to myself and to Locked On. Later today, this evening, I will be hosting the first ever Locked On Rams postcast. That's right. On this same Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel, the Rams have their preseason opener at 1:30 against the Cowboys, which means at around 4:30 or 5, whenever that long football game ends, I will be back here live right here like I am right now on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel talking Rams football. So I hope some of you in here are Rams fans. If you are, please be back here for the first ever Locked On Rams postcast. It should be a lot of fun to kick off a fun football season because, man, everyone knows, or maybe not everyone, but I love football as much as I love the Angels and as much as I love baseball. So be in here later today. With all that being said, let's talk about the Angels once again. Really not fun to talk about, honestly, today. Not tonight, certainly not tonight. It's barely even in the afternoon. Can I just say an 8:35 first pitch is crazy? It's crazy. I understand that the East Coast teams deserve day games, but maybe don't pick a game against a West Coast across the country team as the day to have a day game in DC. I'm just saying we shouldn't have to wake up at 8:30 to watch the Angels play. But let's talk about the hitting, because the Angels do score 5 runs in the 4th inning. They do have a bases clearing double from Kevin Pillar in the top of the 4th in that 5-run 4th inning. And it was a great game for a lot of hitters. Like a lot, and I say a lot, but yeah, kind of a lot of hitters. Because you either in this game had multiple hits or multiple walks, or you're Joe Adell or Michael Stefanik. But Matt Thaiss, 2 hits in 2 at-bats and 3 walks. He gets on base all 5 times. Mickey Moniak, 3 for 5. Beautiful. Brandon Drury, he doesn't get a hit, but 3 walks. Nolan Shanuel doesn't get a hit, but 3 walks. Zach Neto doesn't get a hit, but 2 walks. Kevin Pillar, he got a hit. He got a big hit. He got 2 for 5 with that 3 RBI double. And, I'm not going to go through each at-bat, each walk, tell you how many of them were great pieces of hitting, how many of them were wild pitching from the Nats. I'd say a combination of both. We'll summarize it with that. Certainly, there were some walks where it was like, okay, I think I could have taken that walk. But there were also some where you earned it. Some foul balls, good at-bats, yada, yada, yada. So I'm not going to at all say, oh, it was all national struggles that had the 13 walks. At the end of the day, you walk 13 people, that's on you. But the Angels lineup certainly earned some of them. And they certainly earned the 4-run or the 5-run 4th inning for the most part. If you didn't watch, I'll quickly break down that 5-run 4th inning because it was crazy. Unsurprisingly, it started with a leadoff walk. Brandon Drury gets walked. Then a Mickey Moniak single, one of his 3, makes it 1st and 3rd with nobody out. Joe Adell, this is where the Nats issues started. He hits a ground ball, and 10 at third base just absolutely misplays it for an error to score. Then, how do they respond? By walking Matt Thaiss to load the bases. Michael Stefanik could do just about anything to get an RBI. Unfortunately, he decides to ground into a double play to do it, and you're thinking, oh man, big opportunity, runners in scoring position, bases loaded, nobody out, and you're only going to score 2 runs. Neither of them really earned. Oh man, what a disappointing, blown opportunity. Should be like a 4-run inning. They still get the big inning because with 2 outs, another walk. Nolan Shanuel. Now it's 1st and 3rd. Zach Neto up. Another walk. And these were walks that were given. Nolan Shanuel, 4-pitch walk, none of them really close. Zach Neto, right after that, 5-pitch walk, none of them close at all. So once again, you were gifted some of those walks. But finally, the only at-bat where the Angels earned runs, a Kevin Pillar, bases loaded, 1-2 pitch, fastball inside, and he didn't crush it. Let's be honest, he didn't crush it. But when the pitch is that inside, when it is a fastball, you don't have to crush it. You just have to keep those hands inside as much as possible and somehow rip it down the line. And that's what Kevin Pillar did. He rips it down the line. 82 exit velo, not great, but it's a bases clearing double. Shout out to Zach Neto for turning on the Jets. And somehow on, like I said, not a ball that's rolling to the wall and stuff, able to go first to home. Really impressive base running from him, and we would end up just about needing every single one of those runs, believe it or not. You go up 5-0 there, and little did we know that this would end up being a 6-4 ball game. Taylor Ward grounds out to strand Kevin Pillar at 3rd because, of course, but I'm not going to complain at all about a 5-1 4th inning. It looked like it was going to be the start of a huge, huge game for the Angels offense, and it was not. 5th inning, the Angels didn't get a walk, so they didn't score a run. 6th inning, a single and a walk, but still no run. 7th inning, 4 walks in the inning. 4 walks, including Michael Stefanik getting walked with the bases loaded to score a run. But somehow you get walked 4 times, you don't have a single base hit, and you only score 1 run. That's what I mean. This really was not a game that the Angels offense deserves a lot of credit for, but you will take it. Some good at-bats, some where the walks were handed to them. But at the end of the day, enough to win. And I think, I was not at all thrilled by the offensive performance. But if it ended 6-0 with that offensive performance, you say, hey, bright spot, Kochanowicz, bright spot, whoever closes the game, and good enough from the offense. They actually found a way to score more than 5 runs. But because the game was almost blown, I think that just completely changes the kind of, I'm blanking on the word. It just kind of changes the emotions about this game and makes it a game that really feels like an embarrassing win. A lot of comments in here. Appreciate them so much. After we take our last break, we will get to your comments and see if you agree with me about this being one of those wins where you're not really proud of it and not proud to be an Angels fan. We'll talk about that after our last break here on the Locked On Angels Postcast. Now, today's show is brought to you by Ibotta. That's right. We haven't had Ibotta as a sponsor in a few shows, so glad to have them back. Are you taking that dream vacation this summer but dreading the cost? With Ibotta, you get cash back on all your purchases, so you can spend more time making memories this summer and less time dreaming about them. It's summertime, which means it's barbecue season. You can stock up on all of your grilling favorites and earn cash back on every purchase when you use Ibotta. So you don't have to choose between burgers or hot dogs. You can get both. If you don't know, Ibotta is a free app that lets you earn cash back every time you shop. You earn on hundreds of items, from groceries to beauty supplies, even toys. So you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. The average Ibotta user earns $256 per year. That could cover the cost of an entire shopping trip, that flight you've been eyeing, or the fancy dinner you've been craving. Other apps give you points that don't amount to much, but Ibotta, you can withdraw those points to your bank account, PayPal, or gift cards. Simply add offers in the app, upload your receipt, and voila, the money is yours. Right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners $5 just for trying Ibotta by using code LOCKEDONMLB when you register. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store and download the free Ibotta app to start earning cash back and use code LOCKEDONMLB. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store and use code LOCKEDONMLB. And finally, today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. I love sports. I love them so much. I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer games and the sports aren't sporting like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports whenever I want. All I have to do is open up the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone, There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer, especially with the NFL season starting up with the preseason this weekend. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Back here live one more time on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel. This is the Locked On Angels Postcast. The Angels win, but barely. 6-4. They almost blow it. They really didn't even earn the 6-0 lead they had, and they almost threw it away. We have to talk a little bit about Jack Kochanowicz because he was great. And if the Angels would have won this game in convincing fashion, he would have been the story. We already talked about how the 8th inning ended for him. Could have been better. But at the end of the day, the stat line looks impressive despite those 2 runs in the 8th. 7 2/3, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, just 1 walk, gave up a home run to lead off the bottom of the 8th, but just 1 walk at a game like today, certainly impressive, and given how bad he has been, makes it all that much more impressive. In his previous 2 starts to start his MLB career, 3 innings pitched, 7 hits, 5 runs, 4 of them earned. And then 4 innings pitched, 7 hits, 7 runs, all of them earned, 3 walks. Okay? The guy's ERA was 14.14 coming into today. If you would have told me he's going to give up 5 runs in 7 innings or 3 runs in 5 innings, something I would have said we will take it. But this guy gave you 7 shutout innings before the 8th. And so that's why he certainly deserved the 8th. Who knows? Maybe it would have been nicer for him, certainly for his stat line, but just for him mentally, if he just could say, hey, I pitched 7 scoreless innings in an MLB game after the awful start to my career I had. But I'm not mad at all for giving him the chance in the 8th. Would have been really amazing to see him more than double his career innings pitched in 1 start. He still does. He pitched 7 innings coming into tonight, 7 2/3 after today. So you got to give him his credit. He was great. He threw a lot of strikes. He forced a lot of ground balls. And that's what you got to do in 2024. That's what you got to do. So shout out to him. We already talked about Baumann and Joyce, but Kochanowicz, you can be proud of that start and his first career MLB win. The ERA still 7.98. But hey, it's getting lower. It's getting lower. Let's jump into these comments before we wrap this one up on an extremely early, it's barely past noon with the 8:35 first pitch here on Sunday. It's really funny. I can't lie. I was laughing because Jeff is always in here early. He's always leaving comments before the game ends. And he started with, where was this team the last 2 games? Happy we won't go to extra innings. And then 30 minutes later, please tell me we are not going to choke. And then he goes, how do you have a 4-run lead and choke? Only the Angels? Yeah, they almost did. Then he goes, they got lucky, never should have come down to this. Perfectly summarizes the emotions of just about every Angels fan. Thank you, Jeff. Skyler, he says, I'm happy we salvaged it and got a W, but 2 things. 1, we had 13 walks and we didn't take advantage of it. And 2, can we please learn how to close games? Win's a win, though. Once again, perfect summarization. And Jeff says, amen. Angels win. Welcome back. He says, nice victory, nice performance by Kochanowicz. Probably shouldn't have used Joyce in the 9th. Yeah, Contreras is up. I honestly don't blame Ron Washington because if you're sitting there like me, like most Angels fans, and certainly like Ron Washington, you're going, wait a second, this is a game we should be up 11-0, and somehow it's 6-2, and somehow Mike Baumann almost blew the whole lead in the 8th. I'm going to bring in the guy I'm going to know is going to shut the door. I think that's his mindset, and ironically, Ben Joyce does not shut the door. He makes it even more interesting while also wasting his arm, so a lose-lose with Ben Joyce, but we'll take it. Skyler says, let's not forget Kevin Pillar. He was solid, absolutely. Useless Trucker says, Angels are showing their flaws. They're struggling at every level. They are incompetent, haven't earned the respect of critics, 20 years of bad management. Oh, man, I sent my Trout jersey back. I am so disappointed. Trout never even made it back to Angel Stadium. Man, a lot of emotions there. I don't know about sending the Trout jersey back, but certainly they haven't earned the respect of anybody with this game. Flaws at every level. Certainly the pitching was not great at times. The hitting was not great whenever there was a moment where you actually had to earn it. Fudd Alex says, what up? And he's laughing about Mike Baumann because he's been on 3 or 4 teams in one season. Exactly. Useless Trucker speculating that Ben Joyce may have hurt his arm. He swung his arm like his fingertips felt numb. Nerve damage? Oh, man, I hope not. But Alex says, I think he shouldn't be throwing 100 plus since it's easier for him to go to the IL, and not sure if he's feeling pressure but hasn't played as before. You can't tell a guy to throw less than 100 when he throws as hard as he does. It's almost more, I don't know, I'm not an expert, but I've heard people say it's almost more dangerous to try to take a couple miles an hour off your fastball when you're so used to throwing it as hard as it is. You kind of just want to let your arm go and see how it goes. Man, Useless Trucker saying, short career Tommy John soon. Please, no. He's one of the futures of this franchise. All fart in the Angels clubhouse from Sergio Sounds. He also says, sell the team. Welcome, Sergio. I think my first time seeing you here, so welcome. Artie still thinks his team is worth $10 billion. Useless Trucker says, Rams are struggling. How are they struggling? They haven't even played a game yet this year, and they made it to the playoffs when many didn't expect they would. I don't think the Rams are struggling. Hilarious. Saucy James says, this was the most winnable series we've ever lost. What a perfect way to put it. The most sweepable series ever. You very easily could have and should have won all 3 games, and yet you only win one, and it's the one that you probably deserve the least. Yeah, really disappointing. Couple more comments. Almost blew that one from Anthony Jimenez, he says. Good outing from I don't know how you say that. If it's Kochanowicz, but it's pronounced Koch, I don't know. Or if it's spelled Koch, but pronounced Kochanowicz, I don't know how you shorten that. Koch? I don't know. But yes, good job by him. Roger says, at the end of the day, we won. The umpire had a horrible day. Lou Holtz once said, the worst win is always great. Sometimes I agree. And probably with Lou Holtz, with football, it's a different story. If you win a game where you don't play great, with how few football games there are, you say, we will take it. But I don't know. In a game where wins don't really matter, a series where wins don't really matter at this point because you care more about performances. Obviously, you want to avoid 100 wins. Obviously, you want to get as close to 500 as possible. But you care more about performances, and the performance today was awful. It really, really was. But we will take it. We will take the win. A crazy game, a crazy series. I don't know how you end this 1-2 in the series, how this is the game that you win, but I guess we'll take it. I'll be back here tomorrow at a much more normal time tomorrow night. Back home in Anaheim are the Angels. They're hosting the Toronto Blue Jays, a 3-game series at the Big A. All 3 games, 6:38 first pitch, which means I'll be back here at around 9:30, 9:20, something like that. The typical postcast time late at night. So I hope to see all of you in here. If you haven't already, hit that like button. You know I appreciate it so much. Leave a comment as well. And if you are a Rams fan, if you're not a Rams fan, if you are a fan of me and the postcast here, or if you are a Rams fan, if you're a Chargers fan, if you're a football fan, if you're just excited that football is back and also want to hear more postcast stuff from me, please join me later today at around 4:30, 5 p.m., depending on when the Rams preseason game ends, for the first ever Locked On Rams postcast right here live on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel. But all that aside, Angels win 6-4 somehow, some way. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Have a great rest of your Sunday. You basically have the entire Sunday still left. It's barely noon. So enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Angels win, and as always, go Halos. Take care, everybody.